Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. What I said, I hope you're enjoying anime month, but like I said, I wanted to get a couple of movie reviews in, besides that. And one of my previous reviews when I reviewed on a childhood film, character I would say I love growing up, and that was the review of the first Scooby-Doo movie, which I still enjoy. Now we're getting to the review of the second film, Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed, released in 2004. Once again, director Raja Gosnell came back to direct, and James Gunn came back to write as well. And as same with of our main cast, Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred, Linda Carly as Velma, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne, and Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. Even the same for Neil Fanning as the voice of Scooby. And the film came out in 2004. Sadly though, it underperformed the box office. I mean, it made much less than the first film did. I mean, although the first like how this film made much less both domestically and worldwide. Like it made 84 million domestically and 181 million worldwide, compared to what was the first film's 275 million. So that was considered a disappointment, and especially got much more poor reception than the first film did. Like, this one has a 5.0 on IMDb and has a 22% Rotten Tomatoes. And the film actually did win a Razzie for worst remake or sequel. But I don't think it's not as bad as and I can see why people don't like this one, because I forgot to mention some people thought they were mad because Scrappy ended up being the villain, and people don't like this one and like this one. It's like a vice versa, divided among fans of the film. Like either they like the first one and like the second one, or vice versa. But I did see this one also back in the theater back in 2004. I do remember that because I remember when I first saw the poster of this on one of the big billboards, so. But I can see why people don't like the second film or the first film and vice versa, and like one or the other. But I can't say I hate this movie, but although I do understand if people don't like it, I do understand that. But I can't help but hate this film because I'm a big fan of Scooby-Doo. Growing up, like I said before, I love the cartoons and many things that came, the spin-offs that went. I enjoyed the first movie, but I can't help but like the film. Although I do understand why it's not liked. I do understand that. If people don't like the film, that's fine. I could fully understand. I do. Because there are certain things things I liked in the first film I prefer more than this, though, but still. But first of all, I thought the main cast, once again, I thought was pretty good. Like I said, Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, he was still very good, although, like the first film, he was more the star in this, though. Here he is a bit less as a star. I think it's the mixture of all of them in this one. But, I'll get more on that, though. But as I was saying, since this film underperformed, they canceled the third film. There was gonna be a third film, which James Gunn was gonna write and direct, though, but they canceled that, though. What do you say? Because I would like to see how a third film would have been. But yeah, so agrees to the canceled sequel. Matthew Lillard said in an interview the third film was canceled because the second film did not do that well as expected, which he attributed to Warner Brothers releasing it at an inappropriate time. And then last year in 2019, in an interview, James Gunn revealed that he was set to write and direct, but the film did not happen due to financial disappointment of the previous film, stating that although it did well, it didn't do well enough to warrant a third film. Yeah, the film was number one in the box office, and it did you could say it was a success, though, but compared to how much the box office numbers compared to the first film did, so that's why I said it was underwhelming. Did not make it enough to make a third film. So then James Gunn tweeted on the plot to the canceled film that Mystery Inc. gang are hired by a town in Scotland who complained that they're being plagued by monsters, but we discover throughout the film monsters are actually the victims. Scooby and Shaggy have come to terms with their own prejudices and narrow beliefs and narrow belief systems. So, yeah. I would like to. Part of me would like to see the third film because since I like both of them though, and since besides being fans of the show, so. And that's why they didn't, and it didn't go through though, and that's why now, this year they rebooted into an animated film called Scoob, which I saw the trailer for it and I did not care for. I did not care for that new anime version reboot of Scoob. That's what it's called, Scooby, but it's Scooby-Doo. So I did not like the trailer for that. Didn't care for it. Which I think I probably watched this better than the new Scooby-Doo movie. But anyway, and the story in this, which is a positive thing, which I'll get to right now. Like, they go to the museum that opened up. There's this party at this museum that opened up, and it's the museum that is for the costumes of all the original monsters from the show that they have on display. And it was like cool that we get to see the monsters from the original show. Like here, like you see Captain Cutler, the Tar Monster, and the Skeleton Men. Which these are some of the monsters from the newer Scooby-Doo the movies. The Black Knight, the Minor 49er, the Zombie. That was one from the episode. The Zombie and the Witch. Which witch is which? Yeah, that was the episode with the witch and the zombie. You see, yeah, the zombie from in here from that episode. The 10,000 volt ghost. That's like I said, the Tar monster. The pterodactyl ghost. And you see, and you do see costumes in the museum. You see costumes of other villains from the show. Like in quick shots, you see the spooky space kook. Yeah, the spooky space kook, the creeper. The Redbeard's ghost. Which you actually do see the character of Magnus in this movie. The character Magnus from the cartoon. He was the one who was Redbeard's ghost. So yeah, so it was cool to see. You got to see the villains from costumes and the villains from the original show, which was cool to see. Then the real version of the pterodactyl ghost comes. It takes the Black Knight, the 10,000 volt ghost costumes, and this guy who was the masked figure, takes them and then says, you're the ones going to be unmasked. and they see that they think that they blame Scooby and Shaggy, for allowing them to get away. They're always screwing up, which I don't think that's one thing I would say in the cartoon. I mean, sometimes they mess up a thing or two, but they don't mess up all the time because sometimes they do help catch. A lot of times they do help catch the ghosts in the cartoon. Yeah, sometimes they stumble or whatever, and you do mess up once in a while, but I don't think they do. They don't do it too much in the shows. So I don't get why in this here they're always they act like they're always screw ups. I mean, they weren't there certainly weren't screw ups in. Here is mostly Shaggy who didn't screw up for the most part. He saved his friends and he even stopped Scrappy-Doo. So I don't see why. I mean, do they remember how Shaggy pretty much saved the day in the first movie? So I don't see how they was thinking they're always screw up, saying they're always screw ups. I did not understand. So what else? So they want to do. So the two of them want to prove they're not screws. They want to do this investigate on their own. First they go to this mansion, which is a character from the show named Wickles. The guy who was from the first episode. He was the Black Knight ghost. So that character is played by Peter Boyle. Peter Boyle, may rest in peace. You know, I like Peter Boyle. It was cool to see him in here as well. Yeah, which his character was Wickles, who was the Black Knight from the first episode of the show. They go to his place. They see the Black Knight ghosts, which is actually, and the one thing I give is there was some with some of the monsters. There was some practical stuff with the monsters. It's mainly like the zombie. For the most part, I think that the Black Knight was practical, even though with CGI ghost evaporations around it. It looked like it was a suit of armor. I think it was. And it's actually the Black Knight is actually played by the Black Knight Ghost is actually played by Kevin Durant. Really enough, Kevin Durant. He's been in other movies as well. Like he played Blob from X-Men Origins Wolverine. He was in Wild Hogs. What was it? Other films like Legion. In Legion with Dennis Quaid, Paul Bettany. He was Gabriel. So yeah, he actually played the Black Knight Ghost in this movie. Although you do go jokes was when Velma kicks the Black Knight in right between the legs, like right in the round tables. Although I think do ghosts really have that between their legs? I mean, although I do recall in the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, I do recall that though. Either people don't like these movies or not though. I really easily watch these. This is much better than the 2016 Ghostbusters film, definitely. Especially when you're dealing with ghosts. Hell of a lot better than the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Tenfold. Yeah, tenfold. These are twice as better as the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Tenfold. Then Scooby and Shaggy, they go to the bad guys' hangouts, and you get. I mean, it is silly. You see Scooby in a freaking afro. I do say that though. He's wearing a freaking afro, and Shaggy's wearing a green gangster suit. Oh, I forgot to mention about Seth Green. He's in this as well. He's a guy that Velma likes. Which he's supposed to believe he's supposed to be a suspect, and he's let's be a suspect also in this, like a red herring, but not. And you also get appearance from Alicia Silverstone as well. She's a reporter who's trash talking on criticizing the Mystery Gang. What else? But then eventually they get to the lab, like Scooby and Shaggy, they drink these little formulas and make it transform. Which that was kind of a little bit of a thing I remember from the cartoons. That they transform into stuff, certain things. Although it was very silly. It was silly when you see when Shaggy takes a little bit and you see him have a woman's body. That I did not like. Although you see Scooby transform into the Tasmanian Devil. But I did not like the way Shaggy seeing him as a woman's body. No. But they find the costumes and they Scooby and Shaggy playing around with the control. It brings the monsters come to life. And it was cool to see Captain Cutler, the Miner 49er, the Tar Monster. And these are the zombie as well. This is the Black Knight, the 10,000-volt ghost. They get away. Then the creatures are wreaking havoc on the city. They go to one of their old places they used to go to fix the control panel to reverse the process. They get attacked by the ghost of Captain Cutler. That was funny when he shoots some hooks and trying to pull him in, and then Freddie steps on the gas in reverse, and he's like, "Oh!" Then just knocks Captain Cutler way back. Then they get back to the mine with the Black Knights, the 10,000-volt ghost. Shaggy, Scooby with the Miner 49er is like, "Well, I'll get you, ya varmints!" And which, of course, leads to another dumb thing, like the first film. how they lose the minor 49er. Like, the minor 49er, he has the ability now, he can breathe out fire. He can breathe fire, and Scooby and Shaggy, like, he lets Scooby rip one, fart right in the minor 49er's face while he's breathing fire. The fire is blowing back into his face, and Minor's like, it falls back. Once again, dealing with, you did not need any fart jokes in here. That was one issue. That was a big issue. I always hated in the first film, and I did not need to see Scooby fart in the minor 49er's face just in order to lose him. I mean, part of me back when I first saw it, I probably thought that was funny though, but nowadays I don't. So, and then Velma finds this thing dealing with the pterodactyl, and got a shrine to Jonathan Jacob, who is actually played by Jonathan Jacob, the character. He was the original pterodactyl ghost, and he's actually played by Tim Blake Nelson, which he's been in a lot of other movies as well. Tim Blake Nelson, and then Patrick is there. Seth Green. Velma suspects that he's the one who's behind all this, but he gets carried away by the pterodactyl ghost. Then the rest of the gang meets in that one room again. All the gang is caught by the tar monster, and except for Scooby, takes a fire extinguisher, and once again, the CGI, like, especially with the CGI, how he's freezing the tar monster. Some of that CGI is still not good. It's like how it was in. Well, I will say CGI, I will probably say, is better than it was in the first one. I'll give the CGI that. The CGI, I would say, is better than the CGI in the first movie. Like, even there was still some practical stuff, like, even with the villains, like I said, with the Black Knight, the minor 49er. I think even Captain Color was practical for what I saw. I could be wrong, though, but I know that the tar monster was CG, and the skeleton men were, and the pterodactyl ghost was. But I know that for the most part, that the Black Knight, the minor 49er, the zombie, I think even Captain Color was, maybe I could be wrong on that though. What was that? But I thought the CGI was a bit of an improvement. It wasn't very crappy CGI like the tar monster. I thought it was pretty good. It looked like the tar monster. So I thought the CGI was better here than the first film, but mixed with a little practical stuff as well. And once again, that song that was playing from the first film of the Scooby-Doo theme, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Which I did like, as I mentioned. And then the villain's like, you can't do this to me! Who do you think you are? And then Scooby's saying, Scooby, as the camera zooms in, Dooby, do! Then he turns all the monsters back into costumes. The guy gets himself caught, revealed to be Heather Jasper Howe, Alicia Silverstone, but it turns out it's actually Tim Blake Nelson wearing an Alicia Silverstone mask. He was the one who was behind all of this. And everything ends all well. It ends with them dancing at that bad guy's hangout, and you have like an appearance by Ruben Studdard, who was like one of the winners of American Idol back then. Yeah, but Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed. I understand why. I fully understand why people don't like this one. I do. But since I was a big fan of the show and I saw this back in the theater, I can't not hate this one. Although I do understand why it's not liked. I do understand that, though. But for the most part, I thought our main characters did a good job, especially Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. Once again, he's always been the perfect as Shaggy. Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, Linda Cardellini. Once again, as Freddy, Velma, and Daphne, I thought they were still good. Neil Fanning is the voice of Scooby-Doo. I forgot to mention, as for the villain, although it was really cool twist that it was Scrappy the villain. I forgot to mention this in my review of the first film. Tim Curry, he was gonna play, I think was Rowan Atkinson's role as Emil Montevarius. He was actually a fan of Scooby-Doo, but when he heard that Scrappy was gonna be in the movie, he just flat out refused because he did not like the character, which I wouldn't blame because not many people are fans of Scrappy. Which personally, which I also didn't mention, I didn't care. I was not a fan of Scrappy either. I mean, I could tolerate him in Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf and some other things, though, but I wasn't overall not a fan of Scrappy. Yeah, so that's what I forgot to mention in my review of the first film. But as for villains, though, it was still a cool twist that they made Scrappy the villain. The villain as for the masked figure. I mean, it was like who is deciding who was the masked figure. Like the first was either Seth Green or it was Alicia Silverstone or Peter Boyle, who they suspected, or Jonathan Jacobo, but they thought who was dead, but he was alive though. Or Tim Blake Nelson, I should say. But I still think I can't help but I still have fun with it because I love the show. Especially it was cool to see the villains from the original show as well. But it was too bad the film underperformed. I would like to probably want to see how the third film was. But as for the score by David Newman, for me it was still pretty much the same as the first film. I mean, the writing by James Gunn, like I said, was a bit as the same as the first one, I would say. But like I said, there were some things I preferred more, but it's hard for me to say. I think everything was pretty much the same as the first movie, though. But although say Shaggy, he was more the star in the first film, here he is not the main star, you could say. But it was cool to see the villains. There was some good picture of practical and CG, though. I thought the CG was better than the first film. The CG was crap. Some of the silly things, like I said, did not need, once again, the farting. We didn't need to see Scooby fart in the minor 49ers face just to get away from them. Did not need that. What else? Oh yeah, the thing that they're saying that they were screw-ups. I didn't think they were overall too much of screw-ups from the show, especially if they came up with the movies. Do you remember that Shaggy is basically the one who saved the day? Basically, you think that he was a screw-up back then? No, because if it wasn't for Shaggy, those creatures would have taken over the world by now. So I don't have to say how him and Scooby were screw-ups. So that's one bit Ryan didn't care for. Trying to think what else. I can't think of anything else, but still. But Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed, I still can't help but I cannot hate the movie still. Like I said, either because if I wasn't that too much of, if I wasn't that big a fan of Scooby-Doo, like when I grew up watching it, if I wasn't a big fan though, I probably would not like the sequel. Probably wouldn't. But I thought the cast, especially Matthew Lillard, he was to me, he's the best part of these two movies is Matthew Lillard. He is still the perfect Shaggy. I don't see how anyone else could be a better Shaggy than he can. And one thing I thought I would say, he was cool that he would later on to go on and voice Shaggy in later of the cartoons and the directed DVD movies. So it was cool that he still got him there, because, and I think even Matthew Lillard, he expressed I think he pretty much disowned the new Scooby-Doo animated movie because of him being someone else being voicing Shaggy. I think he talked about that, how he did not like being someone else recasting the character Shaggy for the voice of someone else. I think he said that, which I don't blame him, because he still is a great Shaggy still. I know Casey Kasem, the original Shaggy, he always be remembered as the original Shaggy. I always love his voice as the original Shaggy from the cartoons. But Matthew Lillard, he is still like the next good Shaggy. Which I don't blame him he doesn't blame the actor who voiced Shaggy in that new animated movie, Scoob, but he felt like it was not right to just be cast as somebody else though, I think. So, which I don't blame Matthew Lillard. But yeah, but he was still the best Shaggy. He is still the best For the movies, for the movies, and he is still the perfect choice for Shaggy. He looks and sounds like Shaggy. As for the other ones too, I can't praise Matthew Lillard enough because he's a great Shaggy. But Freddie Prinze Jr., Linda Cardellini, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I still like. But yeah, if I hate the movie, this would be a rant though. But I cannot hate it. I can't. I can understand why it gets hated. I understand that though. But to me, I can't help but not like, because I grew up with it. I saw these movies back in the theaters back then, from 2002 and 2004. Because I'm such a big fan of Scooby-Doo. It was a childhood thing that I grew up with ever since I watched since I was like on Cartoon Network, since I was like 5 years old, I think it was. Yeah. That's how much big a fan of Scooby-Doo I am. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. And I hope you enjoyed my review of the first one as well. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Now after this, we're getting back into Anime Month. So stay tuned for more for Anime Month, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.